Hey, MCE crew, there's a high probability that the United States government is going to prevent crypto from being used as money. Now, look, we all know that the United States government is coming up with a digital dollar. They are currently working on that in the form of what's called a CBDC, or a central bank digital currency. They're going to digitize the dollar. And that really is not good news for you and I, because when you digitize something, you're able to control it to a greater extent. Okay, right now I can go out and spend my dollars, in any way I choose. But there is a possibility that there will come a time where there will be a programmable dollar that is strictly tied to, the use of it is strictly tied to your behavior in society. And China's already well ahead of the game on that score. And it looks like we're moving in that direction. But in terms of the digital dollar and the massive forces of the United States government coming together to slam the door on crypto being used as money, I'm going to go through some points here from an article in Zero Hedge that outlines a lot of this. Now, there may be a little bias here because this article was written for a platform called Gold Fix, which obviously, they might have a little bias in terms of an affinity for gold over cryptos. But, whatever. We'll go through it, we'll sift through it, and we'll find out what's what. So the article is entitled, "Why Crypto Will Not Be Money in the United States, Slamming the Door on Crypto." He starts out by saying crypto is going to be regulated as a security. Now, if crypto is regulated as a security and it has to abide by rules in the Securities and Exchange Act, which is, lorded over by the Securities and Exchange Commission, there's a woman on trial right now. She used to be the CEO of Theranos, which is a drug company. There's Trevor Milton. He used to be the CEO of Nikola, the electric truck company that turned out to be a big sham. These people are facing time in federal prison for violations of the Securities and Exchange Act. So this thing has real teeth in it. And the authors of this article are suggesting that the Securities and Exchange Act will come into play in regulating crypto. He says, in addition to being regulated as a commodity, crypto will also be regulated as a security pretty easily. First, the Securities Exchange Act will be amended to include a, quote, digital asset security, unquote, in the definition of security. So that will mean that these cryptos will have to abide by this law. And let me explain something to you in terms of how that will affect all of these cryptos that have popped up, and your coin, my coin, this guy's coin. The brakes will be applied to that almost instantaneously if what they are saying is true. Because in order to abide by these acts that are out there, remember, I know DC like the back of my hand. I worked there and I know how this game is played. One of the things that we did, well, really our main mission, was to prevent new regulation from going in and governing the telecom industry. And the reason we didn't want any new regulation is because, for one, regulation is very expensive to abide by. And number two, it tends to degrade innovation. Okay, so you can't innovate like you want to and provide new products that people are going to want and pay for. And in order to be compliant with all the rules, you need to spend money on lawyers, on accountants, on a staff of regulatory folk that are going to monitor every little teeny change that the government wants to make. And they make a lot of changes. So in terms of a summary of securities regulations, they are saying that crypto projects will be regulated and provide clear financial information for investors to make an informed decision. That's a prospectus, okay? You go out here and you get a mutual fund, they're going to send you a prospectus, okay? You buy stock, they're going to send you annual reports. You're going to have access to annual reports. This stuff is not cheap to compile, okay? Again, armies of expensive lawyers and expensive CPAs put these things together. They go on to say that the trading of these crypto securities will take place on regulated exchanges like the New York Stock Exchange, for example. And you and I both know you don't even have to be in finance in any way, shape, or form to understand how heavily regulated an entity the New York Stock Exchange is. It says the U.S. Congress has taken a leap of faith. It needs identifiable persons to enforce a law upon. Who is going to be held accountable in a decentralized network? Many issuing companies have handed control over to network participants. Okay, so that's like Bitcoin. I mean, there's no CEO of Bitcoin. There's no office that you can raid and take a lot of documents. No headquarters located in downtown Manhattan. There's none of that when you're talking about something like Bitcoin. So this is a dilemma for them. These regulations are not just about crypto. It is clearly part of a wider discussion on the future of money. We always talk about that here. The future of money is changing. There are a lot of people that are going to be left behind simply because they don't understand that the whole global economy, the whole philosophy surrounding it is being actively changed. Klaus Schwab said there's going to be a global reset. Klaus Schwab is not some guy standing on a street corner with a sign saying the end is nigh. This, whether you like him or not, okay, he's well respected in financial circles. People listen to him, okay? And he's not talking out of turn. He didn't get up one morning and just have an epiphany and get in front of a microphone. This was something that was vetted over the course of months, if not years, with the International Monetary Fund, certain senators in the United States Senate, congressmen, folk in the EU, and on and on and on. This is a global reset. This is not just focused on America. Okay, so bringing it home, the United States government, the Securities and Exchange Commission, is putting together the skeleton of some regulation on cryptos to clear the field for digitization of the U.S. dollar, the central bank digital currency. The Federal Reserve Act is amended to provide the Federal Reserve Board with new powers. They're speculating this is going to happen. Section 11 will be amended to say, hang with me on this, to supervise and regulate through the Secretary of the Treasury the issue and retirement of Federal Reserve notes, both digital and physical, except for the cancellation and destruction and accounting with respect to such cancellation and destruction. All right, so they are moving full speed ahead on establishing the digital dollar. And I want you to understand something. China is already well down the field in terms of using currency to manipulate behavior of their society. Once you digitize the money, the currency, once you digitize the currency, then what you're going to be able to do is drive compliance among your citizenry. Because if you don't act right and you don't do what you're told, then you may not be able to access your funds. Or if you're able to access your funds, you may not be able to spend your funds in certain places. You think that all that's hyperbole? Not by a long shot. China already, there was this guy who was going around China and he was using Chinese. He was using MMA to prove that he could defeat Kung Fu masters in China. And he was, kicking ass, basically. The Chinese hierarchy did not like this because Kung Fu had reached a certain status over the decades in China, and it's associated with, national heroes there, like Ip Man, okay? Other figures, okay, throughout China, in some places in China. So what we see with this guy went around whipping all of these kung fu masters using MMA, and I mean he was doing it quickly, and he was told by the government to stop it because he was making that that whole kung fu arena look bad. And Asians are really big on saving face. This guy really didn't calm down that activity. So they interdicted his ability to travel, and they tightly control where he's able to live. Okay, and I haven't heard of him doing any more competitions like that since. So you think that the United States government or the EU is not above or is above doing the same sorts of things to get you to observe certain behaviors that they want you to? You can just read the news today and figure out that yes, the government is saying that they will destroy your livelihood if you don't comply. So that's going to be taken to another level with the digital dollar. So wrapping it up, what does it all mean? The door is shut for the use of cryptos as a legal tender if these things occur. And that shouldn't be too surprising to anybody, because if you think that the multi-trillion-dollar economy that is the United States of America, or any of the EU, China, any of these places are going to allow you to compete with their money is the power that they hold, okay? You can't fund a military without money. And they're certainly not going to try to do it with a cryptocurrency that they don't control. Let's just be real here. Now, I'm not saying cryptos are going to go away. Not at all. But you're going to find that if this stuff comes true, you're only going to have certain types of cryptos in existence, those that are able and willing to abide by the regulations. And when I say able, they'll have to have some sort of money to put together some sort of team in order to do that. And that's tough if it's decentralized, okay? So that the jury's still out on that piece of it. Digital reserve notes will make the recordation of all transactions possible. Implications being that what is recorded can be monitored. So imagine the little job that some person has where they're working under the table because they don't make a lot of money, all right? So they can't afford to have Uncle Sam involved. I mean, we all know under the table jobs exist. That's going away once the establishment of the digital dollar has been solidified. In addition to that, this will help the IRS understand the true number of your income. And in turn, they will expect a check, to correspond with that income. You know what I'm saying? Let's see, what else? These amendments significantly increase the power of the Federal Reserve, right? So, and remember, this is really important. I'm going to get into that in just a second here. But contrary to what is widely understood, the Fed does not print money. It can only manage the money supply directly. The private sector creates most of what we use as money by issuing credit. But the Federal Reserve, if they get more power, then what you're going to see is a group of unelected people who are not federal. This is not an arm of the government. It's independent. It's not a bank. The whole name is a complete misnomer, okay? That's going to have more control over our economic society and our society in general. This amendment, if it is, passed, could drastically expand the authority of the Fed by allowing them to create and distribute a digital US dollar directly. It could change the entire structure of the financial system and potentially have far-reaching consequences, some of which we've talked about here. Additionally, the original idea behind the Federal Reserve was for private bank deposits to be combined to provide an emergency line of credit in times of economic stress. That was the original thinking. I mean, it's ballooned from there and just taken on all kinds of other things beyond that. But if the digital dollar is based on a blockchain, how can it also be based on reserves? And what mechanism will determine how funds and how much are added to the economy? And where and how will they be distributed? What about privacy and security? Will all of this authority be handed over to the board of 7 unelected bureaucrats. I think them and probably some senators will have some kind of, a little oversight of it. But yeah, it's going to take more control away from us of our money. This amendment has the potential to change the way the Federal Reserve operates. This deserves a wider discussion by economists and financial experts outside the crypto space as well. So they're going to overregulate this thing. Okay, they overregulate everything. They're going to overregulate it, and because of the nature of it being decentralized, they're going to, squelch a lot of it. Some of the other types of cryptos like Ripple, they have more of a centralized kind of a setup that may lend itself more to this. And a lot of people on that Ripple board are, there's a former Secretary of the Treasury on there. So she, is acclimated to all this and can speak to it and can guide them through it. So we'll see what happens. Guys, continue to invest in assets that appreciate in value and or provide income. I'll talk to you soon.